Welcome back to the vlog. We have a ton of hands to go over, so without any ado, sit back, relax, enjoy. Here they come. First interesting hand of the day, I have Queen Jack offsuit on the button. There's a bunch of limpers and I limp along also. So we're going 6 ways to a flop of Queen 10-9 with 2 hearts. Decent flop for our hand. But we have to be cautious because there are a lot of hands out there on a limp pot. Person in the hijack bets $10. I'm definitely going to put in the call, but I'm definitely not going to raise. I think a raise would be too optimistic. You're only going to get action from someone who has you beat or has a lot of equity to draw. Turn card comes as a 5 of clubs. Same player now leads for $40. This seems like a protection size bet. He's probably worried about straight draws or flush draws, so it makes me think he has a hand like 10-9 or some other combination of 2 pairs. So Queen 10, Queen 9, 10-9, something like that. It is possible he has a straight, or maybe he has a queen with a flush draw. I put all these into the equity calculator and came out that I am a big dog, but not as much as you would initially think. For $40, I can win a $120 pot, which makes me just a little bit less than break even. And I can make this call profitably if I believe I can extract some additional value on the river. The river card comes as 8 of spades, which is perfect. We make our straight. Now we have to extract some value. This player does not like to fold to bets, and knowing this is one of the reasons why I called the turn. Just trying to pick a size that looks bluffy enough that he would want to call. Yet, if it's too small, he's going to think he's getting milked for value. So I decided on $80. It's kind of right in the sweet spot of a bet that looks like it could be a bluff, and a little bit bigger than some sort of milky bet. Anyway, he thinks for quite some time, compiles the chips to make the call. Looks like he's going to do it. Then he kind of looks like he doesn't. Finally, he puts the money in and we show him the Queen Jack. He ends up showing Queen 10 for 2 pair. I'm in the big blind with Jack 10 suited. There is a straddle on. We get 1 late position limper. The small blind completes. I raise to 26 and everybody calls. Obviously, I didn't raise big enough.
If you want to play the hand like a big dog, you have to raise like a big dog, not like a little chihuahua.
So we're going 4 ways to a flop with 104 in, and we get a flop of Ace, Queen, 5, Rainbow. So we got a gutter, and that's about it. If no one has an ace, I think I can get this through.
Don't compound a bad raise with a bad bet.
I'm hoping a $60 bet strong enough to kick out some weak hands like second pair. First person ends up folding. Second person ends up folding. Last person in the small blind puts in the damn call. So this player probably wouldn't be calling. The board is so dry, he has to have an ace. Not only that, he has a very short stack, and I don't think he's going to be bluffed. Turn card comes as a jack. He checks it over to me, and I picked up a little additional equity. I just check it back. River card is a 7. He checks over one more time. I check it back, and he shows aces and 7s for the 2 pair. And we punted this one off. We have ace 8 of hearts in the low jack, hoping for a raise to 15. We get 3 bet from the person in the hijack. He's a competent, aggressive player, but he's been playing a little bit looser game than you would think is reasonable. So I'm going to defend with my ace 8 of hearts. The question is, do I want to defend with a call or defend with a raise? I decided to go ahead and call and play my hand a little bit different. Flop comes King 5 4. There is 1 heart out there, 2 clubs. I checked it over to him and he quickly fires out $50. I thought about attacking this c-bet with a raise, but then I decided, well, I have backdoor equity with a heart draw and a straight draw and an overcard, of course. So I decided to go for the call. When I put in the call, I looked at him and he seemed like he was uncomfortable, so I don't think he has too much. Turn card comes as a king of diamonds. I figure this is a good time to go ahead and try to get him off a hand like ace queen, ace jack, maybe even a pocket pair. I lead for $100 and he quickly releases his hand and we take this one down. Just a reminder, July 24th, 2 p.m., we're having the NorCal meetup game featuring Andrew Locke, myself, KN Poker, Fish Poker, Think Blue Poker, and Jeff Stimson. Also, I just found out that Czech Race Charles is going to be there, and I'm really excited that he's able to make it. It's going to be one hell of a meetup game. There is a sign-up board on Poker Atlas that you can join. If you're having problems with Poker Atlas, no worries. They have some bugs that they need to work out. You can either drop a comment and just say, Mug, I'm going to be there, and I will sign you up by your YouTube name. Or you can sign up the old-fashioned way by calling Capital Casino, talking to the floorman, and tell them you want to be on the meetup game list. So if you know you're coming, please call ahead, sign up early. We can save you a seat. And we'll see you there on the 24th at 2 p.m. This is the very next hand. I look down at 2 kings from middle position. Person opens for a raise to 15. I make it 45. Person in the low jack calls quickly, and so does the original raiser. So we're going to go 3 ways to a flop with 138 in the pot. Someone might say the flop was very favorable. Comes king 5-4. First person ends up checking. This is a green light. I'm going to bet about a third pot. I decide on $50. Person behind me snap calls very quickly, and so does the person who opened. Turn card comes as the 8 of diamonds. You know, the 6-7 gets there, but I don't expect either one of these gentlemen to have 6-7 in this spot. I'm thinking I'm either up against a flush draw or maybe a hand like ace, king, king, queen. If I'm lucky, they have a smaller set. I put in a bet for 150. Person snap calls again. The other player folds out, and we get to look at a river card of a 7 of hearts. He only has $50 behind. I just put them all in, and he snap calls again. I show my kings, and he mumbles a little bit, and he later tells me that he did have aces on that hand. I open for a raise with 2 queens from middle position. I get a call from the low jack, the high jack, and then the cutoff, who's a very conservative player, puts in a raise to 45. As I said, he's pretty conservative, so I'm putting him on a very tight range, maybe even aces or kings, ace king suited, ace king. I don't think he has queens because I got him. But because he's not very deep, I decided to go ahead and isolate him with 2 queens. There's a lot of dead money in the pot. I figure I'll take advantage of that. The low jack quickly folds, and now it's on the high jack, and he does something a little bit unexpected. He decides to jam for his entire stack, which is about $290. I think his most likely holding is like jacks or tens. I think if he had a bigger pair like aces or kings, he definitely would have re-raised before. And maybe he has a hand like ace king that he just wanted to flat and see a flop with. But either way, I think I'm ahead, and I'm happy about getting it in with him. The person in the cutoff has a shorter stack, and I think he has a premium hand. He quickly puts in the call. And the dealer starts to figure out how much I need to put in. I say, well, I'm calling, and they start counting the pots. I put in the right amount. And while he's taking in the main pot, everyone starts talking about who do they think that has the lead and who do they think has the win. And I'm going, I'm not as confident as winning the whole pot as I am about winning the side. I think I'm pretty good for the side pot, so I'm happy about that. Flop comes 10-8-5, not good for my side pot if he had pocket tens. And then the river card comes as a 9, so now pocket jacks make a straight. I'm not feeling too confident. Player turns over pocket queen, so we chop the side and lose to the ace high flush for the main. So I'm on the button and I get one limper coming in. I decided to raise to 20, trying to isolate the limper. I figure Queen 9 is a good enough hand to do that. The big blind and the limper both put in the call. Looking for a favorable flop, and it comes out pretty darn good. Ace, Queen, 4 with 2 hearts. So I got a second pair and a flush draw, and they both checked me. Definitely going to continue here for 20. The big blind puts in a quick raise to 60, and now the original limper shoves for the rest of his stack. Now the limper has been a little bit, shall we say, tilted. He's been playing a very wide range and has been putting in lots of action. I've seen him make this type of move with a flush draw on a previous hand. So I decided to give him a very wide range, basically all the aces, all the king high flush draws down to king 5, jack 10 suited, jack 8 suited, all the ones. Also pocket 4s, which is the obvious value hand that he might be doing this with. So even with giving him all these type of hands, I figured I was a slight dog, and with the dead money that's already in the pot, I don't think I can go wrong with putting in a call here. As it turns out that we were basically flipping for the pot with the range of hands I gave him. So I was actually in better shape than I thought when I decided to put in the call. Now for the player who check raised to 60, I'm thinking they most likely have an ace, maybe with a medium-sized kicker, something like ace 10, maybe ace jack. So I'm not sure whether they're going to put in the call. If they do, that's fine with me. I'm probably up against 2 people, each of them with an ace. And with my flush draw, and maybe I have an out for the queen or a 9, I think I'm getting a very good price. So I put in the call for the 237. It goes back to the person in the big blind who did the check raise, and he goes into the tank for quite some time. He says to the player who shoved all in, "I'm not worried about you, I'm worried about Doug. I'm worried about what Doug has." Anyway, he probably didn't realize that I was just on a draw, basically. He thinks for some more, and then finally he decides that maybe it wasn't the best option to go against 2 players that were willing to put $237 into the pot, and he ends up folding his hand. I was actually hoping he would call so I get a better price on my draw, but instead we're headed heads up and to the turn of a king of spades, which is absolutely no help, and the river was a beautiful 2 of hearts. He says, "Oh, you probably got me. I got 2 pair," and he shows queen 4 of spades. So I had more outs than I thought, and happened to get there. So day 1's in the books. We were in for 500, cash out a little over $1,100. So we got a nice win there. Helps our recovery from the $1,500 losing session we had a few days earlier. We start off day 2 looking at 2 queens on the button. There were a couple limpers in front of us. We raised to 20, and we get 2 callers. One from the person directly to our right, and the other one in the big blind. Flop comes king 3-7 with 2 diamonds. So not the best flop in the world, but when check 2, I think with 1 overcard we are going to c-bet this. We also have some backdoor flush possibilities. We get quickly called by the player on our right. Turn card comes as a 5 of diamonds, and now the player leads out quickly for $40. I don't think they're going to be doing this with anything less than a straight or maybe 2 pair, but I'm really afraid they have a flush. But since we have the queen of diamonds, I think it's too early to just fold it. We get to see a river card of a 10 of clubs. Obviously we missed our flush draw. They fire again for 100. If they don't have the flush, they're making a very good bet because I don't think I can call this. I ended up mucking the hand. Later on, they ended up telling me that they did indeed have the flush. So not off to the best start, but we still have plenty of time to recover. Been card dead for a little while. Looked down at 7-8 suited. It looked good enough to raise to 15. We get a few callers, including one person in the hijack. Flop comes ace, queen, 4 with 2 hearts. So we got a flush draw. We got initiative. I put out a c-bet for $20. It gets folded to the person in the hijack who puts in the quick call. I'm thinking they might have an ace, hoping to hit that flush. Turn card comes as a king of clubs. Definitely better for my range than it is for his. I decided to leave it out a little bit smaller. He has a very short stack and I didn't want him to feel committed in case he had an ace and just shove on me. I think if I checked to him, he probably would have shoved all in. So at least this time I can name my own price for the draw. And the river card comes as a 4 of clubs. There's no chance for bluffing here. I'm sure he has an ace. He fires out the remaining chips. I just have to fold. He showed ace 10 of hearts, so I was drawing basically dead. My stack has been shrinking for the last hour or so. I'm down to about 300. Look at ace 8 suited, raised to 15. I get a call from the button, the small blind, and the big blind. We see a flop of ace 9 with 2 hearts. So excellent flop for us. When it's checked over to me, I'm going to continue. Normal sizing, $20. I get 2 folds from the button and from the small blind. The big blind now looks at his hand and he thinks that my c-bet might be a little bit wide, and he decides to put in the check raise. He raises it to 50, which is kind of a smallish check raise, something you might do if you had an ace. So I'm thinking he either has some sort of hand like a lone ace, maybe a flush draw. Perhaps he thinks I'm just out of line and is doing this with a small pocket pair trying to protect it. Turn card comes as 7 of diamonds. Doesn't really change much other than ace 7 now has me beat, or a hand like pocket 7s has me beat. He puts in a rather large bet of 125. So I don't know. I'm kind of reading this as weakness. I think that if he had a really strong hand, say a hand like ace 10, ace jack, I think his bet size would be a little bit more milky. Anyway, I put in the call, and now the river card comes as a 9 of diamonds, so I fill up. All those small pocket pairs are counterfeited, and I think the only way to win with a hand like pocket 5s or 6s is to just to bet it and hope I don't have an ace. Anyway, I have an ace. I jam for about $20 more. He just kind of looks at his hand and then throws it in the muck. So I don't know whether it's a missed flush draw or a small pocket pair, but I got him on this one. We end up switching tables and looking down at ace queen offsuit under the gun, open for 15. And I think everyone and their brother decided to call. We end up going 5 ways to a flop with $76 in the pot. We get a pretty darn good flop. But against 4 other players, I don't feel too comfortable. The big blind checks. I decided to check this one for pot control and just to see what happens. And it gets checked around, which was a little bit surprising. So I think I have the best hand. Turn card comes as a 4 of hearts. Probably the biggest brick I can imagine. I decided to bet $30. I know it's a little bit small, but I'm still a little hesitant going against 4 other players on this type of board. Player to my direct left puts in the call and everyone else folds. So I'm pretty sure I have the best hand now. Looking for a blank on the river. Not sure if my opponent's calling with a weak ace or maybe a hand such as like king queen that he thinks might be good. But when the river comes to 5 of diamonds, I'm going to go for a little extra value. I bet out $50. In his mind, my hand might look like a missed flush draw, or maybe a hand such as like pocket queens. So if he has a hand like king queen, I think he's going to be calling. And he thinks for a while and then finally decides on putting in the call. I show him the ace queen, and he did flash that he had a king. Thanks for watching, guys. I really do appreciate your support. Our totals for today and the other session are up here in the corner. If you have a chance to like and subscribe, it really does help out the channel. And if you want to share it, I won't complain. So appreciate you making it to the end of the video, and I look forward to meeting some of you at the meetup game on July 24th.